G'day guys and welcome to TTB Gel Blasters Pimpama, where today we're removing a MOSFET from a vector and doing the direct connect. Okay guys, so what I'm doing here is that I'm actually modifying a vector. And the reason I'm modifying it is that depending on which MOSFET you got, these are the little boards that come out of your vectors. There's a few different types. I'm just seeing if I can find the other one as well. This is the old style. So this is the one which originally came out in the version 1s of the vectors, the L shapes. And then this is meant to be the new and improved model, the ones that are a lot more reliable. I'm getting the same issues. A lot of the times they either die or they don't do single fire. They literally just go off and burst. So what I decided to do was, hey, scrap them, get rid of them altogether. And what I've done is I'm going to hard wire up a vector, so then there's no MOSFET in it at all. The way I'm going to do it, and this is pretty easy if you've used a Generation 8 before, is that this here is a Generation 8 gearbox. A lot of people recognize them. And you've literally got a negative to the motor and a positive to the motor. You've got two wires that run down from there, and also there's one from there from the positive connection that run your mag, and then the last bit itself is for your trigger. So let me just open this up and I'll show you. Give it a second. Come on now. See, it's always the way when you're doing a video, things don't always go to plan. Blade screwdriver. Normally they just slide out. This one wants to be a little bit of a pain in the ass. So, anyway, I was hoping to get it out so I can just show you guys, but that's literally the trigger where it actually turns off and on. So what you have is that this is actually this part here. I'll do it from the actual battery port. So you got your battery connection. That then goes to the switch, so your negative goes to your switch. Then you've got your negative that goes to your mag as well. And then the negative then goes to your motor. And then on the other side, you've got the positive that goes to your motor. And then you've got the positive that then goes to the secondary connection of your mag to run your mag. And what you do is that you want to copy exactly the way a Gen 8 is set up inside your vector. So what you had to do is that you had to literally adrenal out a little bit of the area so you can angleize the trigger in there. So it actually clicks against the trigger. And then install your Gen 8 cables and cable management. So you got your battery connector there, which then goes up, and the negative connects to the actual switch. So I've got a negative wire which I'm making up, which will then go to my mag. Then you've got the negative connection, which will then go into the motor. On the opposite side, you've got a positive connection, which will then be going to the motor as well. And off that, you're going to need a secondary positive connection, which will then go to the mag. Exactly the same setup as the Generation 8. So let me jump into it. I've got a little bit of soldering to do, and then once I've done my soldering and all that, I'll get you guys back included. Yeah, so I've soldered onto the actual motor, but as you can see I haven't actually set the internals of the motor up yet. So there's a couple of things I need to do. And the other thing I need to do is I need to measure these, because if you've pulled apart a Victor before, it goes internally, needs to go underneath the barrel, and then your negative and positive connection of your mag are literally the two holes, which are right then and there. So the wires have to be just long enough to reach that negative and positive connection of the actual holes. But what I'll do is I'll open up the gearbox, jump inside the gearbox, and then just get everything in place and do that first. Okay. So this is another gearbox, which I've got a few of them. And if you look at the bottom there, you'll notice that the, I'll turn it this way, might be a good idea. You notice that you've got the dark blue and the white, the dark blue being the negative and the white being the positive. So the negative is the one closest to your T-piece. So what you got to do, is, as you can see here, the negative is the closest one to your actual T-piece, and the positive will then be the other one. You get these mixed up wrong, it's not going to feed gels. The gels simply just won't go through, so make sure you get that correct. Okay, so what I'm doing here is removing the old connections to the mag so I can actually recycle them. Now it's time to cut the wires to the right length. That way I can then solder on the tips. Okay, all done. Now that they're fully secure, it's time to put them back into the gearbox in the right place, so they're good to go. Just a little bit of electrical tape to hold that wire in place so it doesn't wiggle around. Put the TPs back in place, looking good. Make sure everything's secured, and time to screw it all back together. So lock it in place. Make sure it all lines up perfectly. The gears are in place as well, and grab your screws and start screwing it all back together again. Now that the screw's all done, it's time to put the spring back in, and hey, we've upgraded it to a 1.3 mil spring. That way it gets a bit of kick. So no, I haven't gone crazy. I'm just putting the spring in like this for now so I can actually test the gearbox before putting it all back together. It's not a bad idea to give it a test run before you screw everything back the way it was before. Just so you know, it is a 3-cell battery that we're running as well. And that's it for part 1, guys. Join us next time. We'll be chucking the vector all back together and chucking it through the Kronos. Hey, don't forget to hit that like, the subscribe, and the notification bell. And hey, if you really enjoy our videos, don't forget to buy us a coffee too.